The Pacific swallows sound at 2 in the morning. 3 miles off the Coronado coast, the water moves like black glass, cold and indifferent. No moon, no stars through the marine layer, just darkness that goes down forever and the kind of silence that makes you hear your own heartbeat in your skull. She surfaces without a splash, slow, controlled. The way you move when detection means mission failure and mission failure means people die. Her face breaks the waterline, breathing through her nose, eyes adjusting to the fractional light from the distant base. No lights on her gear, no glow sticks, no infrared markers, a ghost in open water. The encrypted earpiece crackles once, static, then a voice, male, calm, the kind of calm that comes from watching men die and still making the call. Sparrow, you have 14 days, zero contact, cardinal out. The transmission ends. She doesn't acknowledge. The protocol was set weeks ago in a room with no windows and men in suits who never gave their real names. Acknowledgement creates electronic signature. Signature creates vulnerability. Vulnerability creates compromise. She learned that in rooms much worse than conference halls, in countries where they don't bother with trials. Her hand moves to the waterproof pouch strapped against her ribs. Inside, a single sheet of paper, not laminated, not preserved, paper that will dissolve if it hits the ocean. She breaks the seal, reads by touch more than sight. Her fingers know the shape of the words. 23 lines, typed. No signature, no date. No classification markings because the classification is so far above top secret it doesn't have a name anymore. She reads it twice, memorizes 3 key phrases. Then she pulls a small magnesium strip from her vest, strikes it against the flint sewn into her sleeve, and holds the flame to the corner of the page. The paper catches. Orange light dances across her face for 5 seconds, long enough to see the scar near her right temple, pale and surgical, long enough to see eyes that don't blink in the flame. Then the paper curls into black ash, and she lets it fall into the Pacific where it disappears like it never existed. They think I'm here to watch, she thinks. They're wrong. The swim to shore takes 18 minutes. No rush. Rushing creates wake. Wake creates pattern. Pattern gets you killed. She stays low, frog kicking through the surf zone, feeling the pull of the tide and the scrape of sand beneath her fins. When the water gets shallow enough to crawl, she does. Belly down, face in the foam, tasting salt and petroleum and the faint chemical trace of runoff from the base 2 miles north. The beach is empty. Training exercise schedules were in the briefing packet, committed to memory, then burned like everything else. No patrols between 0200 and 0400 on weekdays. Budget cuts. Reduced manning. The bureaucracy that protects empires also makes them blind. She buries her dive gear in the sand above the high tide line, marks the spot with 3 stones in a pattern that looks random unless you know what random isn't. The dry bag contains her cover identity. Uniform. Pressed. Creased where creases belong. Silver oak leaves on the collar. Lieutenant Commander. Not her real rank, but close enough that she can wear it without the fabric feeling like a lie. Her real rank doesn't exist on paper anymore. The promotion came with a handshake in a hospital in Germany and a personnel file that got shredded the same day. Some doors you walk through, you don't walk back. She walked through hers 18 months ago, in Mosul, covered in blood that wasn't all hers. She changes in the dark. Wetsuit stripped, folded, buried with the fins and the rebreather. Uniform on. Boots laced. Hair tied back in a regulation bun that took 5 years to perfect because they don't teach you that in SEAL training. They teach you how to kill in 6 different ways with a rolled-up magazine. The hair bun you figure out yourself or you don't make it. By 0240, she's walking up the access road like she belongs there. Posture perfect. Eyes forward. A woman alone at night on a military base, and no one will stop her because the rank on her collar says she outranks everyone awake at this hour. The first guard station waves her through. The second one checks ID. She hands over the common access card, laminated and encoded and completely legitimate except for the part where the person in the photo doesn't technically exist in any database that isn't classified 11 levels deep. "Evening, ma'am. Rough night." "Long swim," she says. Her voice is quiet, controlled, the kind of voice that doesn't need volume because it has weight. The guard hands back the card without looking at her face. Good. Faces get remembered. Ranks get forgotten. She walks into the belly of Naval Station Coronado at 0253, exactly 7 minutes ahead of schedule, and no one knows the clock has started counting down to something they can't see coming. The bachelor officer quarters smell like floor wax and old coffee. Third floor, room 317. Another key that works perfectly because someone very thorough made sure it would. Inside, the room is exactly what it should be. Bed made, desk clean, locker empty except for 3 uniforms and a pair of running shoes that have never been worn. A life assembled by people who do this professionally. A background that will hold up under scrutiny because scrutiny is expected. She doesn't sleep. Sleep is a luxury, and luxuries create patterns, and patterns create predictability. Instead, she sits in the dark and reviews the mission parameters one more time. Not from notes, from memory. The kind of memory you build when forgetting means dying. Primary objective: observe and identify smuggling operation. 0 footprint. Secondary objective: document chain of custody, evidence-grade quality. Tertiary objective: maintain cover as hazing investigation officer for 14 days. Rules of engagement: no direct action unless cover is compromised. No casualties. No contact with Cardinal except emergency protocol. Timeline: Day 14, 0300 hours, intercept shipment at Dock 7. She knows the timeline is a lie, not the dates. The assumption that she'll get to Day 14 without the whole thing turning into a knife fight in a phone booth. Missions that require 14 days of invisible surveillance don't stay invisible. Someone always observes the wrong detail at the wrong time. Someone always asks the wrong question. Someone always gets curious. And curiosity, in her experience, gets people killed. At 0530, the base starts waking up. She hears boots in the hallway, muffled voices, doors closing, the rhythm of military life predictable as a metronome. She rises, smooths her uniform, checks her reflection in the mirror screwed to the back of the door. The face staring back could be anyone. Brown hair, brown eyes, average height, average build, the kind of face that disappears in a crowd, which is exactly the point. The scar near her temple catches the light. She tilts her head, letting her hair cover it. Old habit. The scar is from a piece of shrapnel in Fallujah, back when she was still someone else, before the name Maya Reeves meant anything to anyone except the people who needed to forget it existed. She walks to the admin building at 0600, carrying a leather portfolio that contains exactly nothing useful, and a tablet loaded with fake reports on training culture and morale assessments. The kind of paperwork that makes officers' eyes glaze over, which is the point. Boring is invisible. Invisible is safe. Admiral's office is on the 3rd floor, corner suite, windows facing the bay. She's met him before in the file photos and the background briefing and the surveillance footage from 3 different angles. Howard Briggs, 28 years in, decorated, respected, hiding something that smells like corruption and moves like greed. The yeoman outside his door glances up when she approaches. Young, maybe 22, still thinks the uniform means something pure. "Lieutenant Commander Reeves," she says. 0600 appointment. The yeoman checks a list, nods, knocks twice. A voice from inside, muffled but clear, "Enter." She walks in, and the first thing she notices is that Admiral Howard Briggs is already studying her like a problem he needs to solve. Second thing she notices is the file on his desk. Thick, much thicker than a standard personnel jacket. Her file, allegedly. Except her real file would fit on a single page with half of it redacted. He doesn't rise, doesn't salute, just watches her with eyes that have seen 30 years of sailors lie to his face and think they got away with it. Lieutenant Commander Reeves, Naval Special Warfare, here for the hazing investigation. His voice is flat, professional, empty of anything that sounds like welcome. Yes, sir, per BUPERS request. 14-day observation window, morale and discipline assessment. Briggs leans back in his chair. It creaks. Expensive leather that's seen too many long nights. He taps the file with one finger, slow and deliberate. I've read your jacket. Interesting career path. SEAL qualification. Combat deployments. Silver Star with a classified citation. Then 18 months of nothing. Medical leave, sir. She keeps her voice level, neutral, giving him nothing to grab onto. Medical leave, Briggs repeats. He opens the file, flips through pages she can't see. And now you're here, watching recruits eat lunch and counting push-ups. The mission requires observation, sir, not intervention. The mission, Briggs says, and there's something in the way he says it that makes her think he knows more than he should. The mission is to write a report that justifies budget allocations for programs nobody reads. Your window dressing, Commander. Stay out of the way. Don't interfere with training. Don't give the recruits ideas about filing complaints. We clear. Crystal, sir. Good, he closes the file, dismissed. She salutes. He returns it without standing. She walks out and the door closes behind her with a soft click that sounds like a vault locking. In the hallway she counts to 30, breathing steady, heartbeat controlled. Then she walks to the tiny office they've assigned her. 3rd floor, no windows, a desk with a chair that wobbles and a computer that isn't connected to anything classified. Perfect. She settles into the chair, opens the tablet, pretends to read reports, and starts counting. Day 1 is observation. Pure. Clinical. She moves through the base like a ghost with a clipboard watching patterns. Who eats with who avoids who laughs too loud and who goes silent when certain names get mentioned. The kind of details that don't make it into official reports because they live in the spaces between words. The mess hall is her hunting ground. 1100 to 1200, the place fills with bodies and noise and the kind of casual cruelty that hides in plain sight. She occupies the same table each day, back to the wall, eyes on the room. That's when she sees them. 5 of them moving together, not a squad, something tighter, a pack. They don't wear rank the same way other recruits do. They wear it like a weapon. The one in front is tall, blonde, square jaw that appears designed in a lab to sell recruiting posters. He walks like he owns the floor under his boots. Corporal Ryan Briggs, the Admiral's son. The file said he was here. The file didn't say he moved like a predator in a cattle pen. Behind him, 4 others. PFC Marcus Kane, former Army Ranger with a chip on his shoulder the size of Fort Benning. PFC Ty Bowman, college football star who traded a scholarship for a uniform and still thinks the rulebook doesn't apply. PFC Evan Nash, thin and pale, and the kind of smart that curdles into mean when nobody's watching. And PFC Cole Ritter, the youngest, baby-faced Mormon kid from Utah who appears to have wandered into the wrong life and doesn't know how to leave. She watches them corner a table in the back. 3 recruits sitting there. Younger, smaller. The kind of small that isn't about height. It's about the way they hold their trays, the way their shoulders curve inward, The way they don't make eye contact when Ryan Briggs leans over them and says something that makes Marcus laugh and Ty grin and Evan pull out his phone to record. She doesn't move, doesn't intervene, writes 3 names in her notebook: Seaman Jesse Park, Seaman Andre Cross, Seaman First Class Rachel Kim, writes the time, writes the table number, writes verbal intimidation, no physical contact, duration 45 seconds. Her hand wants to do more than write. Her hand wants to walk over there and put Ryan Briggs on the floor in 3 seconds and make sure he remembers what it feels like to be small. But her hand doesn't get a vote. The mission does. And the mission says watch. So she watches. Day 2, the pattern repeats. Different table, same targets. This time Marcus does the talking. Something about standards, something about weak links, something about how the Navy isn't a charity and if you can't hack it, you should save everyone the trouble and quit now. Andre, the black kid with shoulders that haven't finished growing, stares at his food and says nothing. Smart kid. Silence doesn't give them ammunition. But Ty doesn't need ammunition. Ty needs an excuse. He bumps the table. Accidentally. The kind of accident that sends a tray sliding into a lap and makes everyone at the next 3 tables turn to observe. Andre rises, soaked in soup and shame, and Ty holds up his hands like it was gravity's fault, not his. She writes it down. Witnesses 12, physical contact indirect, humiliation public, duration 90 seconds. Her jaw hurts. She realizes she's clenching her teeth. Old habit. The kind of habit you pick up when you spend years watching bad men do bad things, and the rulebook says you have to wait for the perfect moment to stop them. Day 3 is when Rachel Kim tries to file a complaint. She comes to the tiny office at 1300, knocking soft like she's apologizing for existing. Permission to speak, ma'am. Granted. Rachel is 22, petite, intelligence analyst, smart enough to get recruited out of MIT and naive enough to think the uniform would protect her. She settles into the chair across from the desk, hands folded in her lap, and tells a story that makes the air in the room feel thin. It started 4 weeks ago. Comments, stares. Evan Nash, the tech guy, started following her after shift, not close enough to be obvious, close enough to be a message. Then came the photos, her in the gym, her in the library, her walking back to the barracks. Photos she didn't know existed until he sent them to her phone with a caption that made her skin crawl. You're pretty when you don't know anyone's watching. She reported it to her chain of command. Her chain of command told her to stop being dramatic, told her it was a compliment, told her if she couldn't handle a little attention maybe, she wasn't cut out for military service. So she's here, in this office, with a woman she doesn't know, asking for help she doesn't believe will come. Maya listens, doesn't interrupt, doesn't take notes because notes create records and records create evidence and evidence creates a trail that leads back to questions she can't answer. When Rachel finishes, the silence sits heavy between them. I'll document this, Maya says. Thank you for reporting. Will it stop? Maya meets her eyes, really studies her, sees herself 7 years ago, brand new to the teams, learning that being good at your job doesn't protect you from men who think your presence is a threat to their mythology. File the paperwork, Maya says. Official channels. I'll add it to my assessment. Rachel's face does something complicated. Hope and disappointment fighting for space. She rises, salutes, walks out. The door closes and Maya remains alone in the tiny office with no windows and thinks about the 14-day clock and the weight of choosing mission over people. Her encrypted phone, the new one Cardinal issued before she went into the water, vibrates once. Text message, 4 words. Stay focused, no deviation. She deletes it, watches the screen go dark. Then she opens her notebook and writes Rachel's name next to Jesse's and Andre's and underlines it twice. Day 5 is when everything starts tilting off axis. Jesse Park, the genius coder, makes a mistake. Not in the field, not on a test. In the base server, late at night, looking for something harmless. A recipe his mom used to make. She sent him the name in a letter and he can't remember the measurements, and he figures the base server probably has an archive of old mess hall menus because the military archives everything. What he finds instead is a folder, encrypted, badly. The kind of bad encryption that makes a kid with a computer science degree curious. So he pokes at it, just a little, just enough to see the file names. BLACKWATER transfer, Doc 7, 300 logs. He doesn't know what it means, doesn't understand the significance, but he's 19 and scared and looking for anything to feel smart about, so he mentions it to Andre the next morning at breakfast. Quiet, casual. Did you know there's some weird files on the server? Military codes I've never seen. Andre shrugs, probably classified stuff, don't touch it. Jesse nods, agrees, forgets about it. But Ryan Briggs doesn't forget. Ryan Briggs is sitting 2 tables over, and Ryan Briggs has ears trained by a father who built a career on knowing things other people wanted hidden. He doesn't say anything, doesn't react, just finishes his eggs and walks out and makes a phone call to a number that doesn't appear on any official roster. Maya doesn't see this happen. She's 3 miles away, at Dock 7, in civilian clothes, photographing container markings and truck schedules from behind a chain-link fence that isn't supposed to have gaps, but does if you know where to search. Her camera is digital, high resolution, time-stamped. Every photo gets uploaded to an encrypted server the moment it's taken, so even if someone finds the camera, the evidence is already gone. She counts 12 containers, notes the shipping company, cross-references the manifest she pulled from the base database 2 nights ago when everyone was asleep and the firewalls were lazy. 6 containers don't match. 6 containers that aren't on any official manifest, but are logged in a separate system that requires Admiral-level clearance to access. 6 containers that are scheduled to move in 9 days, at 0300 hours, to a destination listed as Training Equipment Depot, but with GPS coordinates that point to the middle of the Mojave Desert where no depot exists. She takes 40 photos. Then she walks away, exactly the way she came, and no one sees her because no one is observing. Her phone vibrates, cardinal, voice call encrypted, she answers. Sparrow Sitrep. Target confirmed, she says, 12 containers, 6 off book, scheduled movement day 14. Copy, maintain posture, 0 footprint. Understood. She hangs up, keeps walking. Doesn't notice the dark sedan parked 3 blocks away, engine idling, windows tinted, a woman behind the wheel with a tablet open, and a live feed from the Dock 7 security camera showing a figure in civilian clothes walking away from the fence. The woman makes a call. Her voice is calm, professional, the kind of calm that comes from years of lying to people who trust you. Sir, she says, the observer just photographed the dock. She knows. The voice on the other end is Admiral Howard Briggs, and he doesn't sound surprised. He sounds like a man who's been waiting for this. Good. Let her think she's invisible, makes the trap easier. Day 7 starts the same as the others. Morning run, shower, uniform, breakfast at the mess hall alone, watching the room fill with bodies and noise. But today the noise has an edge. Today the room feels tighter, like air pressure dropping before a storm. She sees them before they see her. Alpha Cell, all 5, moving through the tables with the kind of purpose that says this isn't random. They're hunting. Jesse is at the back table, Same spot as always, Andre next to him, Rachel across, 3 targets in one place, convenient, mathematically improbable unless someone planned it. Ryan leads, Marcus flanks, Ty and Evan box the sides. Cole trails behind, face pale, hands in pockets. The formation is perfect. Textbook crowd control, not something you learn in basic. Something you learn from someone who knows how to corner prey. Maya's hand tightens on her coffee cup. The ceramic is warm, solid, real. She's 40 feet away, too far to hear the words, close enough to see Jesse's face go from confused to scared in the span of a heartbeat. Her phone is in her pocket. Cardinal is 1 call away. Orders are clear: observe, document, do not engage. But her eyes are on Ryan's hand, on the way it moves to Jesse's collar, on the way Marcus grins, on the way Evan lifts his phone, camera aimed, recording this for an audience that will laugh because they don't know what it feels like to be that small. And then Rachel rises, tries to intervene, uses words that should matter: regulations, protocol, chain of command. Ryan turns to her, smiles, says something that makes her face go white. The room is full of people, 40 recruits, 10 staff. Not one of them moves, not one of them says a word, they just watch, because watching is safer than being seen. Maya's encrypted phone vibrates. She knows without checking. Cardinal reminding her, stay focused, no deviation. She pulls the phone from her pocket, studies the screen. 4 words, same as before. Then she observes Jesse, at Rachel, at Andre, at 3 people who trusted the system to protect them and the system turned away. She thinks about Master Chief Daniel Hale, about Masul, about the moment she had to choose between the mission and the man who trained her, about how she chose the mission and he died and she lived, and the choice has been eating her from the inside ever since. She thinks about the 14-day clock, about the smuggling operation, about weapons moving to people who will use them to kill people who don't deserve to die, about the mission, always the mission. And then she thinks, screw the mission. She rises, the chair scrapes, loud. Every head in the room turns except the 5 who are too focused on their targets to notice one more officer standing up. She walks, not fast, not slow, steady, deliberate, the way you walk when you've made a decision and the decision is final. 40 feet, 30, 20. Ryan has Jesse by the collar now, lifting, making him rise, making him small. Marcus is laughing. Ty is blocking Andre from moving. Evan's camera is recording. Cole is staring at the floor. 10 feet. She stops, doesn't say a word, just positions herself there, between them and the exit, between them and escape. A woman 5'3" in a pressed uniform with silver oak leaves and a scar near her temple that catches the fluorescent light. Ryan sees her first. His grin doesn't fade. If anything, it gets wider, because she's just another officer, just another person who will tell them to knock it off and walk away and forget it happened by tomorrow. Step back, she says. Her voice is quiet, so quiet the tables nearest have to lean in to hear. Last chance. Ryan's grin turns into a laugh. Who the hell are you to give me orders? Lieutenant Commander Maya Reeves, and that's not an order, that's a warning. Marcus steps forward, gets close, too close, invading space the way men do when they think size equals authority. You got a problem, ma'am. Yes, she says, you. The room goes still, forks stop moving, conversations die. Somewhere in the back, a tray rattles and goes silent. Ty moves to her left, flanking, tactical. Evan stays with the camera. Cole still hasn't raised his eyes, and Ryan, still holding Jesse's collar, finally lets go and turns to face her full. You're the observer, he says. You have no authority here. You're just taking notes. True, Maya says. Observing you commit assault. Continue if you want it documented. It's not assault. It's training, making the weak stronger. My father says it's tradition. Your father, Maya says, and her voice doesn't change, but something in the room does, is an admiral. Not a training instructor. Not your chain of command, just a father. And fathers aren't always right. Senior Chief Victor Shaw rises from the galley line. Older man, 50 maybe, graying hair, hands that have seen work. He doesn't move toward them, just positions himself there, watching, hand near his belt, near something that might be a weapon or might just be instinct. Ryan's jaw tightens. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you have 3 seconds to step away from those recruits before this becomes an official incident. Or what, Marcus grins, you'll write us up. We're terrified. No, Maya says. You'll make a choice you can't take back. Evan lowers the phone, just an inch. Just enough that the camera isn't pointed at Jessie anymore. It's pointed at her, recording, capturing every word. And that's when Ryan makes his mistake. He reaches for her. Not a punch, not a shove, just a hand on her shoulder. Dismissive, condescending, the kind of touch that says, move along, little lady, this doesn't concern you. His hand touches fabric. The world shifts. She doesn't think, doesn't plan. Muscle memory older than thought takes over. Her right hand comes up, traps his wrist, rotates. Her left hand pushes his elbow. His body follows the angle because bodies don't have a choice when joints move past their design tolerance. 2 seconds. He's on his knees, face confused, pain just starting to register. She releases him, steps back. The mess hall is silent, not quiet, silent. The kind of silent that happens when 100 people stop breathing at the same time. Marcus moves, charges, football tackle, high school glory replaying in his brain. She sidesteps, uses his momentum, redirects. He goes into a table, trays explode, soup everywhere. He's down, not hurt, humiliated. Ty comes from the left, Evan from the right, coordinated, trained. She waits until they're committed, then drops low. Sweep kick catches Ty's ankle, he falls. Evan tries to grab her. She controls his arm, pressure point. He gasps, drops. 4 seconds, 4 bodies on the floor, 0 strikes thrown. Cole remains frozen, hands still in pockets, eyes wide, watching something his brain can't process. And Ryan, back on his feet, face red, pulls something from his belt. Not a gun, a knife, folding, 5-inch blade. The kind you're not supposed to carry on base, but everyone does anyway. He doesn't lunge, doesn't attack, just holds it, lets her see it, a message. The room inhales. Senior Chief Shaw's hand moves to his belt, for real this time. Admiral Howard Briggs appears in the doorway. No one saw him enter, he's just there, watching, face unreadable. And Maya positions herself in the center of it all, 40 feet from the Admiral, 10 feet from a scared kid with a knife, 3 feet from 3 recruits who finally believe someone might protect them. Her phone vibrates. She doesn't check it, doesn't need to. She knows what it says. Mission compromised. Abort. Extract immediately. But extraction means leaving. Leaving means Jessie and Rachel and Andre go back to being targets. Leaving means Ryan learns that rank and violence win. Leaving means the cycle continues. She meets Ryan's gaze, at the knife, at the fear trying to hide behind bravado. Put it down, she says. Make me. And from the doorway, Admiral Howard Briggs speaks for the first time. His voice carries, calm, almost amused. Corporal Briggs, stand down. Ryan doesn't move, doesn't lower the knife, just stares at his father, waiting for something, permission, approval, acknowledgement. Briggs walks into the room, slow, every eye follows him. He stops 10 feet from Maya, close enough to read her face, far enough to stay safe. "Lieutenant Commander," he says, "interesting demonstration." "Self-defense, sir." "Against unarmed recruits." "One of them has a knife, sir." Briggs observes his son. Ryan, still holding the blade, finally lowers it, folds it, puts it away. But his eyes stay on Maya, locked, a promise. Briggs pulls a file from under his arm, thick, the same one from his office. He opens it, reads aloud. "Lieutenant Commander Maya Reeves, Naval Special Warfare, SEAL Team 3, Silver Star, Navy Cross, 14 confirmed kills, court-martialed 18 months ago for the murder of Master Chief Daniel Hale, dishonorably discharged." The room gasps, actual gasps. Rachel's face goes white. Jessie studies her like she just became someone else. Andre takes a step back. Maya doesn't move, doesn't deny, just remains there while the lie lands. Briggs closes the file, smiles, thin, calculated, a man who just played a card he's been holding for days. "So tell me, Commander, what gives a dishonorably discharged killer the right to lecture my men about conduct?" The knife in her gut isn't steel, it's words, but it cuts just the same. She opens her mouth to respond. And Ryan, emboldened by his father's presence, empowered by the revelation, steps forward and says the thing that changes everything. "Looks like you kill your own teammates, ma'am. Guess that makes you worse than us." The mess hall holds its breath. Maya meets Ryan's eyes, then Briggs, then the 100 faces watching her become something they can dismiss, a killer, a disgrace, a liar in uniform. She could tell them the truth, could explain Mosul, could explain that Hale ordered her to leave him, that the mission saved 12 hostages, that the discharge was a cover, that everything Briggs just said is a lie wrapped in enough truth to make it stick. But explaining means revealing. Revealing means blowing cover. Blowing cover means the real mission dies. So she says nothing. Just holds Ryan's gaze, then Briggs, then turns and walks toward the door. Behind her, Marcus laughs, nervous, relieved. Ty helps Evan up. Cole finally raises his eyes, face pale, and whispers something that sounds like "this isn't right." Maya reaches the door, steps into the hallway. The noise of the mess hall erupts behind her. Voices, laughter, the sound of 100 people deciding she's not worth worrying about. She walks 20 feet, turns the corner, leans against the wall. Her hands are shaking, first time in 7 years. She observes them, watches them tremble. Then she makes fists and the shaking stops and she pulls out her phone. 16 missed calls, cardinal, all in the last 4 minutes. She doesn't call back, just sends a text, 2 words. "I'm in." The response comes in 5 seconds, 3 words. "You just burned everything." She deletes the message, puts the phone away, closes her eyes. And in the darkness behind her eyelids she sees Daniel Hale, Mosul, 18 months ago, bleeding out in a basement while she completed the mission. His last words before she left him to die. "Fire and vanish, Sparrow, protect the pack." She opens her eyes, turns around, walks back toward the mess hall. Because some missions you choose, and some missions choose you, and sometimes the only way to protect the pack is to become the thing they're hunting. The hallway outside the mess hall smells like floor wax and shame. Maya positions herself there, back against the cold concrete wall, counting her heartbeats. 147 before they slow down to something that won't show in her hands. She's been trained to control fear, trained to compartmentalize rage. But no one trained her for this. For standing in front of 100 witnesses while a man who should know better burns her reputation to ash just to see if she'll break. She doesn't break. Breaking is a luxury. Breaking means you still have something left to lose. The door opens behind her. Footsteps, not the heavy boots of authority. Lighter, hesitant. She turns. Senior Chief Victor Shaw positions himself there, 60 years compressed into 50 years of frame, eyes that have seen things he doesn't talk about, hands scarred from work that didn't happen in an office. He doesn't salute, doesn't call her ma'am, just observes her the way one warrior observes another when the uniform stops mattering and the truth underneath starts showing through. "I know who you are," he says, voice low, private, the kind of private that happens in hallways where conversations don't get recorded. Maya's hand moves to her belt, not threatening. Instinct, Shaw sees it, doesn't flinch. "Hale trained you," he continues. "I served with him. Ramadi 2007. Best chief I ever knew. He doesn't wait for confirmation. You didn't kill him. You followed his orders." She says nothing. Silence is safer than lies, and lies are safer than truth. "The discharge was cover," Shaw says. "Whatever they said in there, whatever file Briggs pulled, it's smoke. You're here for something else." Maya measures him, studies the way he carries himself, the way his eyes don't look away, the way his voice doesn't carry that edge of men trying to prove they know more than they do. This is a man who's been read into operations he couldn't discuss with his own wife. This is a man who understands that sometimes the mission requires you to die on paper so you can live in the shadows. "Why are you telling me this?" she asks. "Because Hale would want someone watching your back. And because whatever you're really doing here, those kids in there need it done." She tilts her head, studies him harder. "What kids?" "Jesse Park, Rachel Kim, Andre Cross. They've been getting hammered for weeks. I've been watching, documenting, sending reports up the chain that vanish into some black hole where complaints go to die. You're the first officer who stepped between them and the wolves." "I didn't step between anyone," Maya says. "I defended myself." Shaw almost smiles. "Almost. You defended yourself by putting 4 grown men on the floor in under 5 seconds without throwing a punch. That's not self-defense, Commander. That's a statement." She doesn't confirm, doesn't deny, just waits. "Admiral Briggs is dirty," Shaw says. The words hang there, heavy, final. "I don't know what he's into, but I know he's protecting it. And I know his son is part of the protection. Ryan and his crew, they're not just bullies. They're enforcers, keeping people scared, keeping people quiet." "Quiet about what?" Shaw glances down the hallway. Empty. But empty doesn't mean safe. I've been tracking shipment manifests. Equipment coming and going that doesn't match the logs, trucks at odd hours, civilians on base who aren't contractors. And every time I get close to something concrete, someone shuts me down, transfers my access, reassigns my duties, makes it clear that curiosity is a career-ending condition. "And you're still curious." "I'm old," Shaw says. "Career's already over. I've got 8 months until retirement. What are they going to do, take my pension? I've lived on less." Maya turns away from him, studies the hallway toward the mess hall where right now Admiral Briggs is probably telling his son he handled that perfectly, where right now Ryan and his pack are laughing about the disgraced SEAL who thought she could lecture them, where right now Jesse and Rachel and Andre are learning that asking for help just paints a bigger target. "I need to see the manifest," she says. Shaw reaches into his pocket, pulls out a key card. "Maintenance override. Gets you into admin after hours. Cameras are on a loop between 2300 and 0100. 40-minute window. Not much, but it's what we have." Maya repeats. "I told you, Hale would want someone watching your back." She takes the key card, feels the weight of it, plastic and magnetic strip, and the promise of evidence that could blow this whole operation before it even starts. Tonight, she says, 23:30, don't follow me, don't cover me. If this goes wrong, you were never involved. If it goes wrong, we're both going to Leavenworth, Shaw says. Might as well have company. He walks away, doesn't turn back, doesn't wait for her to thank him, just disappears around the corner like a ghost who learned a long time ago that heroism doesn't photograph well. Maya remains alone in the hallway, pulls out her encrypted phone. 7 missed calls from Cardinal, 4 text messages, all variations on the same theme. Abort extract, mission compromised. She types 2 words, sends them, waits. Define compromised. The response comes in 30 seconds. Full paragraph, she reads it twice. Your cover as hazing observer is blown. Admiral Briggs knows you're more than you claim. Suspect he's connected to intelligence networks that flagged your insertion. Continuing risks exposure of entire operation. Extraction team inbound, 0400 tomorrow. Be at Rally Point Alpha. Rally Point Alpha is 3 miles offshore. Same spot she surfaced 7 days ago. Swimming distance if she's not being chased. Drowning distance if she is. She types her response, 4 words this time. Negative, mission not complete. Cardinal's reply is immediate. That is not a request, Commander. That is a direct order from Theater Command. You are compromised. Extract. She stares at the screen, thinks about chain of command, thinks about orders, thinks about the 12 hostages in Mosul and the choice she made and the man who died so they could live. Thinks about the fact that orders are only as good as the people giving them, and sometimes the people giving them are sitting in air-conditioned offices making decisions about threats they've never had to face in person. She types 3 words. With all respect. Then she powers the phone down. Not silent. Off. The kind of off that severs connection. The kind of off that says this conversation is over and the next one will happen when it happens and not before. She takes the phone in both hands, studies it. This device is her lifeline to Cardinal, to extraction, to the mission as designed. But it's also a tracking beacon. Every ping creates a signature. Every connection leaves a trail. She sets it on the concrete floor, raises her boot, brings it down hard, once, twice. The screen spiderwebs, the case cracks. The 3rd stomp crushes the battery housing, sparks briefly, dies. She kicks the pieces into a corner drain. They disappear into darkness and water and the base's forgotten infrastructure. Then she reaches into her jacket's inner pocket, pulls out a second phone, identical model, same encryption protocols. Cardinal always issues 2 to field operators. Equipment gets lost. Batteries die. Backup plans require backup tools. She powers it on, waits for the secure connection to establish. The screen glows. No missed calls on this one. Clean, virgin, a fresh start. She knows what she just did. Knows that somewhere in a classified building with a name that doesn't appear on maps, someone is having a very bad day trying to explain to someone more important why one of their assets just went dark on the primary channel. But Jesse Park didn't go dark. Rachel Kim didn't go dark. Andre Cross didn't go dark. They're right here, right now, in the crosshairs of 5 men who think cruelty is a tradition and violence is a teaching tool. And Maya Reeves was trained to complete missions, not to abandon people who need her just because the mission got complicated. The mess hall empties over the next 10 minutes, recruits filing out, voices subdued, glances in her direction that slide away when she meets them. She's become something they don't want to acknowledge, a problem, a complication, a cautionary tale about what happens when you challenge the natural order. Ryan Briggs walks out last, Marcus Kane beside him, Ty Bowman and Evan Nash trailing. Cole Ritter at the back, hands still in pockets, face still pale. They don't acknowledge her, don't meet her eyes, just walk past like she's furniture. But Ryan's shoulder brushes hers, deliberate, a message. And Evan's phone is out, recording, getting footage of the disgraced commander standing alone in a hallway while the men she assaulted walk free. She watches them disappear around the corner, counts to 60, then walks the opposite direction. The bachelor officer quarters are quiet at 1400. Most officers are at their duty stations. The few who aren't are smart enough to keep their doors closed and their business private. She enters her room, locks the door, pulls the shades, settles on the edge of the bed, and for the first time in 7 days allows herself to think about what happens if this goes wrong. Court-martial, real one this time, disobeying direct orders, unauthorized intelligence operation, assault on military personnel. The charges write themselves. 20 years in Leavenworth if they're feeling merciful. Dishonorable discharge if they're not. Either way, the career is over. The life is over. Everything she built since the day she walked into the recruiter's office becomes ash. And for what? 3 kids she doesn't know. A smuggling operation she can't prove. A sense of right and wrong that seems increasingly irrelevant in a world where admirals sell weapons and sons carry knives, and no one intervenes because intervention is messy and messy doesn't get funded. She reaches under the mattress, pulls out a photograph, old, creased, carried through countries that don't exist on tourist maps. Master Chief Daniel Hale, 42 years old, 24 years in, grinning at the camera like he knows the punchline to a joke the rest of the world hasn't heard yet. Fire and vanish, Sparrow, protect the pack. His last words, spoken in a basement in Mosul with a sucking chest wound and eyes that knew the math. 1 of him, 12 of them. She could stay and try to save him and they all die. Or she could leave him and complete the extraction and 12 people go home. She chose the mission. He chose her. The math worked. 12 hostages freed. 1 chief dead. 1 lieutenant promoted and then erased because the mission was blacker than the inside of a coffin and no one could know it happened. She failed him once. Left him to die because the orders said the mission mattered more than the man. She's not failing these kids. She puts the photo away, rises, checks her watch. 9 hours until the infiltration. 9 hours to plan an operation with no backup, no support, and no guarantee that the evidence even exists. She opens her laptop, not the official one, the one Cardinal issued, encrypted 6 ways, untraceable if you know what you're doing, and she knows what she's doing because they taught her in a room with no windows where the instructors had names like Ghost and Cypher, and the final exam involved breaking into a senator's office without leaving fingerprints. She pulls up the base schematic, admin building, 3rd floor, Admiral's office. She's been there once, walked in through the front door with an appointment and a cover story. Now she needs to walk in through the back door with a maintenance card and a prayer. Security cameras, 47 of them covering the building. Motion sensors on every entrance. Key card readers that log every access. Electronic locks that report to a central server monitored by MPs who get paid to stay awake. But Shaw said the cameras loop between 2300 and 0100. Maintenance window. 40 minutes when the system reboots and replays the previous hour's footage. 40 minutes when a ghost could walk through and the cameras would see nothing but empty hallways. She marks the route, 3rd floor stairwell, north corridor, Admiral's office, corner suite. If the door is locked, she picks it. If the computer is password protected, she cracks it. If the files are encrypted, she copies the whole drive and lets Cardinal's tech people break it later. Simple plan. Simple plans break hard. She closes the laptop, lies back on the bed, closes her eyes, tries to sleep. Can't. Because somewhere in the building next door, Jesse Park is probably wondering if reporting that file was a mistake. Rachel Kim is probably wondering if anyone will ever take her seriously. Andre Cross is probably wondering if the uniform is worth the cost. And Maya Reeves is wondering if one person can change a system designed to grind people into compliance. The answer, historically, is no. One person can't change the system. One person gets chewed up and spit out and forgotten. But historically, people like her aren't supposed to exist. Women in the SEAL teams, ghosts with silver oak leaves, operators who burn their own missions because the mission stopped being right. History, she decides, can go to hell. At 2300 hours, the base goes quiet, not silent. Military bases are never silent. Generators hum, sentries walk, radios crackle, but the active noise dies down. The chaos of daylight shifts into the routine of night watch. She dresses in black, not tactical gear. Civilian clothes, jeans, dark hoodie, running shoes, the kind of outfit that says jogger, not infiltrator. Hair down, no rank, no insignia, just a woman who might be on her way to the gym or the PX or anywhere that isn't breaking into the Admiral's office. The keycard Shaw gave her is in her pocket. The backup phone is off. No electronics that ping. No signals that create signatures. Pure analog. The way they did it before satellites and drones made everyone lazy. She leaves her room at 23:15. Hallway empty. Stairwell empty. She takes the stairs down, exits through the side door. Outside air is cool. Marine layer rolling in from the Pacific, turning streetlights into soft halos. She walks across the quad, steady pace, not fast. Fast draws attention. She passes two sailors smoking near the barracks. They don't observe her. She passes a sentry checking IDs at the vehicle gate. He waves her through without asking questions because she's on foot, and on foot means you belong. The admin building is dark except for the security office on the first floor. She can see the glow of monitors through the window. Two MPs inside. One watching screens. One scrolling through his phone. The cameras are recording. The cameras are always recording. But in 14 minutes the loop starts. She circles to the north side. Service entrance, card reader. She pulls out Shaw's keycard, maintenance override. If this works, the door unlocks and the log shows routine access. If it doesn't work, alarms trigger and her night ends in handcuffs. She swipes the card. Green light, click, the door unlocks. She's inside. The stairwell is concrete and echoes. She moves slow, each step deliberate, heel-toe, silent. The kind of silent you learn in buildings where noise gets you killed. Third floor, door at the top is closed but not locked. She eases it open, peers through the gap. North corridor, empty, fluorescent lights buzzing, shadows long and clean. 23:28, 2 minutes until the loop. She waits, breathes, counts down. At 23:30 exactly, she steps into the hallway. The cameras are mounted at each end, 40 feet of coverage. If the loop is working, they're replaying the last hour. Empty hallway, no movement, no ghost in a black hoodie walking toward the corner office. If the loop isn't working, MPs are already on their way. She walks, normal pace, doesn't acknowledge the cameras, looking shows consciousness of guilt. She reaches the Admiral's door, tests the handle. Locked, of course. She pulls a small leather case from her pocket. Lock picks, not standard issue, not something they teach you in basic, something you learn from people with colorful pasts and flexible morals. 2 picks, tension wrench, 30 seconds of work. The lock clicks, she's in. Admiral Howard Briggs' office smells like old coffee and furniture polish. Mahogany desk, leather chair, Windows overlooking the bay, photos on the wall, Briggs shaking hands with senators, Briggs standing next to aircraft carriers, Briggs receiving medals from men who are now retired or dead. And on the desk a computer, government issue, password protected, encrypted. She settles into his chair, pulls a thumb drive from her pocket, not a normal thumb drive, a wireless network bridge. Plug it into the USB port and it creates a backdoor that Cardinal's tech team can access remotely. They get in, pull the files. She gets out. No one knows it happened until the evidence shows up in a courtroom. She reaches for the USB port. The door opens behind her. She doesn't turn, doesn't grab for a weapon, just remains very still and waits to see who's standing there and whether this ends in explanations or violence. Admiral Briggs, a voice says, except it's not Briggs, it's a woman, calm, professional, familiar. Maya turns. Dr. Lauren Hayes, base psychologist, 42 years old, Stanford doctorate, kind eyes that listen when recruits talk about stress and family and the weight of service. Except right now those kind eyes are holding a pistol, Beretta M9, standard issue, pointed at Maya's center mass. Commander Reeves, Hayes says, I was hoping you'd be smarter than this. Maya's hands stay visible, palms on the desk. No sudden moves, you're working for him. I'm working for the mission, Hayes says. Same as you. Difference is, my mission didn't involve breaking into a superior officer's office. Your naval intelligence. Hayes smiles, thin, the kind of smile that confirms everything without saying the words. I'm whatever the situation requires, Commander. Right now I'm the person preventing you from making a career-ending mistake. Taking evidence of smuggling isn't a mistake. Taking evidence without authorization is theft. Hayes steps into the room, closes the door behind her. The gun never wavers. You were supposed to observe. You were supposed to document. You were supposed to let Cardinal's team handle the hard part. Instead, you went rogue. Assaulted 5 recruits. Ignored direct orders to extract. And now you're here in the Admiral's office with a device that looks suspiciously like something from Langley's toy box. Maya doesn't move, doesn't confirm, just watches Hayes the way you watch a snake, careful, respectful, aware that one wrong move ends badly. You're protecting him, Maya says. Briggs, the smuggling operation, you're part of it. Hayes laughs, soft, almost sad. You really don't see it, do you? I'm not protecting Briggs. I'm protecting the investigation. The real one. The one that doesn't involve cowboys kicking down doors and blowing cover because they have a hero complex. I don't have a hero complex. I have a mission. Your mission, Hayes says, was to observe for 14 days and provide Cardinal with targeting data for a coordinated takedown. Instead, you lasted 7 days before you decided to rewrite the playbook. Now Briggs is suspicious. His son is suspicious. And the entire operation is hanging by a thread because you couldn't keep your hands off 3 recruits who aren't your responsibility. They were being tortured. They were being hazed. There's a difference. Not to them. Hayes' expression shifts, something softer, something that might be genuine. I know what happened to you in Mosul. I know about Hale. I know you think you failed him. But this, she gestures at the office, this isn't penance. This is sabotage. Maya's jaw tightens. You don't know anything about Mosul. I know you left him to die. I know it was the right call. I know you've been trying to make up for it ever since. And I know that Jesse Park isn't Daniel Hale. Rachel Kim isn't Daniel Hale. You can't save them to balance the ledger because the ledger doesn't work that way. The words land like punches. Maya feels them, old wounds opening. She pushes them down, compartmentalizes, focuses on the now, the gun, the woman holding it, the mission falling apart in real time. What's the play here? Maya asks. You shoot me, arrest me, or do we walk out of here and pretend this never happened? Hayes lowers the gun, slightly, still ready, still dangerous. We walk out. You go back to your quarters. You stay there until extraction at 0400, and you let the adults finish what you started. And if I don't, then I make a call. MPs arrive. You're arrested for breaking and entering, attempted theft of classified material, and assaulting military personnel. You spend the next 20 years in Leavenworth wondering if those 3 kids were worth your entire life. Maya rises, slow, hands still visible. She studies Hayes, really studies, sees the tiredness around the eyes, the tension in the jaw, the posture of someone who's been holding a line for a long time and isn't sure how much longer the line will hold. You think this is about my guilt, Maya says. You think I'm here because I need to prove something. Maybe you're right. But those kids, they're not abstractions. They're real. And what's happening to them is real. And sitting in a safe house waiting for Cardinal to authorize action while they suffer, that's not a mission. That's cowardice. It's strategy. Strategy that abandons people. Strategy that saves them, Hayes says. Her voice hardens. You think you're the first operator to want to kick down doors and fix everything in one night. You think you're special because you care. We all care, Commander. The difference is some of us understand that caring isn't enough. You need timing. You need coordination. You need evidence that holds up in court, not feelings that hold up in your conscience. I have evidence right here in this office. You have speculation. You have suspicions. You have manifests that might be anomalous or might be clerical errors. What you don't have is chain of custody. What you don't have is testimony. What you don't have is a case that survives first contact with a defense attorney. Maya takes a step toward the door. Hayes adjusts, blocks the path, gun still ready. Move, Maya says. No. Move or shoot, your choice. Hayes' finger tightens on the trigger. Not much, just enough to show she's serious. You really want to test me. I really want to finish what I started. What you started is already finished, Commander. Briggs knows you're more than you pretend. His son knows you're dangerous. And in 6 hours, extraction pulls you out and this becomes someone else's problem. That's the mission. Accept it. Maya observes the gun, observes Hayes, calculates angles and distances and the likelihood that she can disarm a trained intelligence officer without getting shot. The math doesn't work. Hayes is too far, too ready, too professional. But math isn't everything. Sometimes you have to change the variables. Jesse Park, Maya says, discovered encrypted files on the base server 5 days ago. Mentioned it to Andre Cross. Ryan Briggs overheard. That's why the harassment escalated. That's why they cornered him in the mess hall. They're not teaching him a lesson. They're silencing a witness. Hayes' expression doesn't change, but something behind the eyes does. A flicker, recognition. You didn't know that, Maya continues. Cardinal didn't tell you, because Cardinal doesn't know, because I'm the only one who was there, the only one watching close enough to see the pattern. Jesse Park is a recruit with an overactive imagination. Jesse Park is a computer science prodigy who accidentally stumbled onto your smuggling investigation, and now 5 men are trying to scare him quiet before he talks to the wrong person. And if I extract tonight, who protects him tomorrow? Hayes is silent. The gun doesn't lower, but it doesn't rise either. They'll kill him, Maya says. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. An accident, training mishap. Something that looks clean and tests negative and gets filed under tragic but unavoidable. And you'll write the psychological assessment that says he was struggling, couldn't handle the pressure, washed out of life the same way he almost washed out of the program. That's not how this works. That's exactly how this works. You know it. I know it. The only question is whether you're going to stop it or enable it. Hayes stares at her, long enough that the silence becomes its own kind of conversation. Then she lowers the gun, all the way, safeties it, holsters it. You have 6 hours, she says, not to finish your mission, to give me enough evidence that I can justify keeping you in play. Briggs' computer is encrypted. You won't break it before the loop ends. But there's a backup server in the basement, maintenance records. If the smuggling is real, there will be work orders, equipment logs, something that doesn't match. Why are you helping me? Because I read your file, the real one, and because Hale was right about you. You're too stubborn to die and too stupid to quit. That makes you either the best asset in the field or the worst liability. I'm betting on asset. She opens the door, gestures. Maya walks past her, into the hallway. The cameras are still looping, still showing empty corridors, but in 12 minutes the loop ends and the real-time feed resumes. Basement, Hayes says, server room, same keycard, you have until 0015. After that, you're on your own. She walks away, doesn't turn back, leaves Maya standing in the hallway with a choice: trust her or don't, go to the basement or walk away. Maya goes to the basement. The stairs down are darker than the stairs up, emergency lighting only. Red bulbs that make everything appear like a crime scene waiting to happen. She descends, slow, listening for footsteps that aren't hers, hearing nothing but her own breathing and the distant hum of machinery. The basement smells like dust and electricity. Server room is at the end of the corridor. Glass door, climate-controlled, rows of black towers with blinking lights like a city that never sleeps. She swipes the keycard. Green light, the door unlocks. Inside, the temperature drops 10 degrees. The hum gets louder. She moves between the server racks. Searching, each tower is labeled personnel, logistics, operations, communications. She finds the one labeled maintenance, pulls the thumb drive from her pocket. This time she doesn't hesitate, plugs it into the USB port, waits. The screen flickers, access granted. She navigates through folders, equipment requests, work orders, repair logs, everything organized by date and department. She searches for Doc 7, finds 12 entries, opens them. 6 entries match the official manifests: routine maintenance, scheduled repairs, nothing unusual. 6 entries don't match anything. She screenshots them, sends them to the thumb drive. The files are small, mostly text, but the text is damning. Work order: install reinforced storage containers, Dock 7, Building 3, authorized by Admiral H. Briggs. Contractor: Blackwater Industrial Solutions. Cost: $87,000. Blackwater, not a Navy contractor, not a government entity. A private military company with a reputation for working in gray areas where regulations are suggestions. Another entry: equipment request, heavy-duty forklifts, capacity 10 tons. Standard issue forklifts max out at 3 tons. Why do you need 10-ton capacity unless you're moving something much heavier than training equipment? Another entry: security camera deactivation, Dock 7 perimeter, 2300 to 0300, recurring schedule every 14 days. The pattern is there, clear, intentional. Someone is moving heavy cargo off the books in the dark using civilian contractors with the Admiral's signature on every authorization. She copies everything, 23 files, downloads them to the thumb drive. Progress bar crawls 60%, 70, 80. Footsteps in the corridor. She freezes, listens, 2 sets, heavy boots, MPs, voices low, casual, routine patrol. The progress bar hits 90%. The footsteps get closer. She can hear words now. Game last night. Someone's girlfriend, normal conversation. Not alert, not searching, just walking. 95%. The footsteps stop outside the server room door. She pulls the thumb drive, pockets it, moves behind the nearest server rack, drops low, makes herself small. The door opens. Flashlight beams cut through the dark. Two MPs, young, bored, doing a job they've done 100 times before. Check the temps, one says. Why, they're always the same. Because the checklist says check the temps. Footsteps inside the room now, moving toward the environmental controls on the far wall. Maya stays low, breathing silent, heartbeat controlled. The way you breathe when detection means mission failure. One MP walks past her hiding spot, 3 feet away, close enough to hear if she moves, close enough to see if he observes downward. He doesn't observe down, just reads the temperature gauge, calls out the number. His partner logs it. They turn to leave. The first MP stops, sniffs, smells something. Perfume, he says. What? Someone was in here. I smell perfume. You've been watching too many spy movies. I'm serious, smell it. The second MP sniffs, shrugs. I don't smell anything, come on. We've got 6 more stops. They leave, door closes, footsteps fade. Maya waits, counts to 300, 5 minutes. Then she rises, checks her watch. 0012, 3 minutes before the camera loop ends. She moves, fast now, no more stealth, just speed. Out the door, up the stairs, into the corridor. The cameras are still looping, but the clock is ticking, and ticking means risk. She reaches the service entrance, swipes the card, green light, outside, cool air, marine layer thicker now, she can barely see 20 feet. Perfect. She walks across the quad, same pace as before, steady, unremarkable, just another sailor heading back to quarters after a late shift. No alarms, no shouts, no flashlights chasing her through the fog. She reaches her building, climbs the stairs, enters her room, locks the door, pulls the shades, settles on the bed. The thumb drive is in her hand. 23 files. Evidence. Real evidence. The kind that holds up in court because it comes from the Admiral's own system with his own authorizations and his own signature. She pulls out the backup phone, powers it on, waits for it to connect. 17 missed calls. Cardinal, Hayes, Shaw, numbers she doesn't recognize. She calls Cardinal. He answers on the first ring. Where the hell have you been? Working. Working means answering your phone. Working means following orders. Working means not going dark for 3 hours while Theater Command thinks you've been compromised. I have the evidence, she says. Smuggling operation, Briggs' signature, civilian contractors, the whole chain. Silence on the other end, long enough that she checks to make sure the call didn't drop. Send it, Cardinal finally says. Not yet. That wasn't a request, Commander. I need protection for 3 witnesses. Jesse Park, Rachel Kim, Andre Cross. They know things they shouldn't. They're targets. If I send you this evidence and you launch the takedown without securing them first, they disappear. We'll secure them. You'll try, and trying isn't good enough. I need guarantees. You're not in a position to negotiate. I'm the only one in a position to negotiate. I have the evidence. I have the witnesses. And I have 6 hours before your extraction window. So here's the deal. You protect them, I send the files. You don't, I burn the drive, and this whole operation becomes a footnote in some classified after-action review that no one reads. More silence. She can hear Cardinal breathing, thinking, weighing options. 4 hours, he says. I'll have a team on site, protective custody. No one touches them until this is over. Swear it. On my career. Swear it on Hale. Cardinal's breath catches. That's low, Commander. That's the price. Another pause. Then on Daniel Hale's grave, those 3 witnesses will be protected. You have my word. She ends the call, sends the files. All 23. Encrypted. Routed through servers in countries that don't cooperate with American warrants. By the time they reach Cardinal's desk, they'll have bounced through enough digital dead drops that tracing them back to her is impossible. Her phone rings again. Different number, she doesn't recognize it, answers anyway. Impressive, a voice says. Male, older, familiar. Admiral Briggs. Her hand tightens on the phone. Sir. You really thought I wouldn't notice? Briggs sounds almost amused. Maintenance keycard access at 2330. Server room entry at 2350. And now, files being transmitted off base from your IP address. You're good, Commander, but you're not invisible. Her mind races. He knows. He's known, maybe from the start. Maybe Hayes told him. Maybe the whole thing was a setup. What do you want? She asks. I want you to understand something, Briggs says. This base, this operation, it's bigger than you. Bigger than me. You think you're stopping a smuggling ring. You're disrupting a national security asset. Those weapons don't go to cartels. They go to allies, deniable allies. The kind we can't support officially but need desperately. You just burned a pipeline that's kept 2 governments stable and 3 terrorist organizations suppressed. You're lying. I'm explaining. There's a difference. What you call smuggling, I call foreign policy. What you call corruption, I call pragmatism. And what you call evidence, I call a career-ending mistake. She says nothing, lets him talk. Extraction is at 0400, Briggs continues. Be there. Take the ride. Forget what you think you know. And maybe, just maybe, this ends with you keeping your rank instead of your dignity. And if I don't? Then tomorrow morning, Jesse Park has a training accident. Rachel Kim fails a psychological evaluation and gets sectioned. Andre Cross gets transferred to a deployment zone where life expectancy is measured in days. And you get to live with the knowledge that your crusade killed the people you were trying to save. He hangs up. She remains in the dark, phone still in her hand, heart pounding against her ribs like it's trying to escape. The math is simple. Extract, and the 3 witnesses are vulnerable. Stay, and she's alone against an admiral with resources and connections, and the will to burn anyone who threatens his operation. Stay, and she's breaking orders. Again, for real this time. The kind of breaking that ends with handcuffs and a tribunal and a cell in Leavenworth. But extract, and she's Daniel Hale in that basement in Mosul. She's the one left behind. She's the one who dies so the mission succeeds. She picks up the photograph, Hale grinning, knowing the punchline. Fire and vanish, Sparrow, protect the pack. She makes the call, not to Cardinal, not to Hayes, to Shaw. He answers on the second ring, voice rough, awake but not happy about it. We need to talk, she says. Now. Now, bring Jesse Park, Rachel Kim, and Andre Cross, and tell them to pack light. They're about to become the most protected people on this base. Or the most wanted, Shaw says. Same thing, UN. He doesn't hesitate. Where? Doc 70200 and Shaw, come armed. She hangs up, checks her gear, combat knife, flashlight, the thumb drive with evidence, the photograph of Hale. Everything else she leaves behind, because where she's going, weight matters less than will. She walks out of her quarters at 0130. The base is dead quiet now. True night. The kind where sound carries and movement gets noticed. She doesn't care, doesn't hide, just walks toward the docks like she owns the ground under her boots. Because for the next 3 hours she does. And when the sun comes up, either she'll be vindicated or arrested. Either the mission succeeds or it dies. But Jesse Park won't have a training accident. Rachel Kim won't fail an evaluation. Andre Cross won't disappear into a deployment. Because Maya Reeves already left 1 man behind. She's not leaving 3 more. The docks smell like salt and diesel and the promise of something ending. She arrives at 0155. Shaw is already there, and with him, 3 shadows that resolve into faces as they step into the light. Jesse Park, 19, terrified, holding a duffel bag like it's the only solid thing in a liquid world. Rachel Kim, 22, angry, eyes red from crying or lack of sleep or both. Andre Cross, 21, steady, the kind of steady that comes from deciding that if the world is chaos, you might as well hold yourself upright in it. They observe her, waiting, hoping, afraid. "You're safe now," she says, and means it. Behind them, the Pacific whispers against the pier, and somewhere in the dark, Admiral Howard Briggs is making calls to people who make other people disappear. But Maya Reeves is a ghost, and ghosts don't disappear. They haunt. The Pacific doesn't care about courage. It just keeps moving, dark and patient, pulling at the pilings beneath Dock 7 like it's been doing for 10,000 years, and will do for 10,000 more. Maya positions herself at the edge of the concrete, watching the water, listening to the rhythm of something older than nations and flags, and the complicated mathematics of right and wrong. Behind her, 4 people wait. Shaw with his hands near his sidearm, scanning the perimeter like the chief petty officer he's been for 30 years. Jesse with his duffel bag clutched tight, knuckles white, breathing fast. Rachel beside him, smaller than she appeared in the daylight but carrying herself straighter now. And Andre, the quiet one, watching Maya's back with the kind of attention that says he's already decided whose side he's on. 0200. 2 hours until extraction. 2 hours until Cardinal's team arrives offshore expecting 1 passenger and finding 5. 2 hours until Admiral Howard Briggs makes good on his threat or backs down from a fight he can't win without creating exactly the kind of attention he spent years avoiding. The math favors Briggs. He has resources, authority, men with guns who follow orders without asking questions. What Maya has is 4 people who trust her for reasons she doesn't entirely deserve, and a thumb drive full of evidence that might matter in a courtroom but won't stop a bullet. Not great odds, but she's worked with worse. Shaw moves close, keeps his voice low. "Private, you have a plan. Keep them alive until 0400. Get them on the extraction boat. Let Cardinal's people sort out the rest." "That's not a plan, that's a hope." "Hope's all I've got." Shaw observes her, really observes. The way senior enlisted observe junior officers when they're trying to decide if this one's worth following or just another academy graduate playing soldier. Whatever he sees, it satisfies something. He nods once. Then Hope better come armed. He pulls his sidearm, M9 Beretta, standard issue. 15 rounds. He checks the magazine, chambers a round, safeties it, keeps it low and ready. "I didn't ask you to do this," Maya says. "You didn't have to. Hale trained you. That makes you family, and family doesn't leave family." The words hit harder than they should. Family. She hasn't had family since the day she aged out of the foster system and joined the Navy looking for something permanent in a world that kept moving. The teams became family. Hale became family. Then Mosul happened, and family became ghosts, and ghosts don't keep you warm at night. "Thank you," she says, means it. Shaw shrugs. Thank me when we're drinking beer somewhere that isn't Leavenworth. Jesse approaches, nervous, young, out of his depth in water that's over everyone's head. Ma'am, what happens if they come for us? They won't. How do you know? Because I'm standing between you and them, and I don't move. He wants to believe her. She can see it in his face. The need to trust that adults know what they're doing and the world makes sense and good people win. But he's 19 and he's been hazed for weeks, and he accidentally found files that got him targeted, and right now trust is expensive currency he's not sure he can afford. Rachel speaks up, voice steady, stronger than Jesse's. What if you're wrong? What if they come anyway? Then Shaw and I hold them off while you three run, north along the beach, half-mile to the public access point, civilian territory. Call 911, tell them everything. The hazing, the smuggling, all of it, makes so much noise they can't bury you. And you. I'll catch up. It's a lie. They all know it's a lie. But it's the kind of lie that lets people sleep at night, and right now sleep matters more than truth. Andre finally speaks, first time since they arrived. His voice is deep, calm, the kind of calm that doesn't come from peace, just from acceptance. You're gonna die for us, aren't you? Maya turns, studies him, really studies, sees a kid who's already done the math and doesn't like the answer but respects it anyway. I'm gonna try not to, she says, but if it comes to that, yeah, that's the job. That's not a job, that's suicide. Sometimes they're the same thing. Andre holds her gaze, doesn't turn away, doesn't flinch. Why? You don't know us, we're nobody. You're not nobody. You're three people who got hurt because the system failed you. I'm the system, which means I owe you. You don't owe us anything. I owe Hale, Maya says, and he's dead, so you'll have to do. The honesty lands hard. Jesse turns away. Rachel's eyes water. Andre just nods slow, like he understands perfectly what it means to carry debt to the dead. Shaw's radio crackles. Low volume but audible. All units be advised. Bolo for Lieutenant Commander Maya Reeves. Armed and dangerous. Approach with caution. Last seen vicinity of Dock 7. He kills the volume, studies Maya. Well, that's inconvenient. They're coming, she says. How long? Minutes, maybe less. She pulls out the backup phone. Encrypted, powers it on. 1 bar of signal, enough, she calls Cardinal. He answers immediately. Tell me you're at the rally point. Negative, I'm at Dock 7 with the 3 witnesses. Briggs just put out a bolo. We're about to have company. Then you're about to have a very bad night. Get to the rally point, now. Can't. If I move them, we're exposed. If we're exposed, they're dead. If you stay there, you're all dead. This isn't a defensible position. You have no cover, no backup, no exit strategy. I have Shaw, I have high ground, and I have 2 hours until extraction. 2 hours is an eternity when people are hunting you. Then I guess time moves different when you're the prey. She hears Cardinal breathe, hears him thinking, calculating, running scenarios in his head where this ends well and coming up empty. Listen to me very carefully, he says. You are not authorized for direct action. You are not authorized to engage military personnel. You are not authorized to turn this into Fallujah on American soil. If you fire 1 shot, everything we've built falls apart. Then I won't fire first. That's not good enough. It'll have to be. She hangs up, pockets the phone, observes Shaw. You still in? Till the end, ma'am, wherever that is. She nods, turns to the 3 witnesses. Here's how this works. You 3 stay behind those crates. You don't move. You don't make noise. If shooting starts, you get flat and stay flat. You understand? 3 nods. pale faces in the dark, kids playing grown-up games with grown-up stakes. Shaw moves to the north side of the dock, good sightline down the access road. He kneels behind a concrete pylon, weapon ready but not raised, waiting. Maya takes the south side, mirrors his position, creates crossfire if it comes to that. Her sidearm is still holstered. She won't draw unless she has to, because Cardinal is right. First shot fired makes this a different kind of operation, the kind that ends careers or lives or both. The fog is thicker now, rolling in off the ocean in waves that swallow sound and distance. Visibility drops to 30 feet, then 20. The dock lights create halos that don't illuminate, just mark position. She's a target. They all are. But in fog, targets work both ways. Vehicle engines. Distant but closing, more than one. She counts. 3 vehicles, maybe 4. Headlights cutting through the fog like knives. They stop at the perimeter gate. 200 yards out. Doors open. Voices, orders being given, tactical commands, someone coordinating movement. Shaw's voice carries across the dock. Quiet, professional, 4 vehicles. Estimate 12 to 15 personnel. Mix of MPs and base security. No visible long arms yet. Standard sidearms only. That's something. Not much, but something. Sidearms mean they're not expecting a firefight. They're expecting compliance. Arrest. A disgraced commander who will come quietly because the alternative is worse. They're wrong about that, but they don't know it yet. Footsteps on concrete, slow, deliberate, a formation spreading out, flanking. These aren't kids playing cop. These are professionals doing a job they've done before. A voice calls out, amplified, bullhorn, Commander Reeves. This is base security. You are ordered to stand down and surrender yourself and the personnel with you. You have 60 seconds to comply. Maya doesn't answer. Answering gives away position. Position is all she has. 45 seconds, the voice continues. After that we come in, and nobody wants that. Shaw catches her eye, shakes his head fractionally. Don't engage, not yet. She waits, counts. At 30 seconds she calls back, loud enough to carry, clear enough to be understood. The personnel with me are under protective custody, Naval Intelligence Authorization. You want to violate that, you better have orders in writing. Silence, then muffled conversation, radios crackling, someone making calls to someone higher up the chain. 20 seconds, the bullhorn says, but the voice is less certain now. Protected custody complicates things, makes this political instead of tactical, and politics require permissions that take time. Time she doesn't have but will take anyway. At 10 seconds, a new voice, not on the bullhorn, closer, walking through the fog like he owns it. Admiral Howard Briggs. He emerges from the gray, alone, no weapon visible, just the uniform and the rank and the weight of 30 years telling people what to do and watching them do it. He stops 20 feet from Maya's position, close enough to talk, far enough to stay safe. Commander, he says, voice calm, almost friendly, this doesn't have to be difficult. It already is difficult, sir. Only because you're making it that way. Those 3 witnesses, they're in danger, I agree. That's why I'm here, to ensure their safety. Let me take them into protective custody, official channels, proper documentation, everything by the book. Your book has some creative accounting, sir. Briggs smiles, thin, I forget. You've seen my files, broken into my office. Stolen classified data. Added industrial espionage to your list of accomplishments. Evidence of smuggling isn't espionage. It's law enforcement. Evidence obtained illegally is inadmissible. You know that. Which means everything on that thumb drive, everything you think you have, it's worthless. No prosecutor will touch it. No court will see it. All you've done is burn your career for nothing. I burned my career the day I left Hale in Mosul. Everything since is just aftershocks. Briggs' expression shifts. Something that might be respect or might just be recognition. Hale was a good man. He deserved better than what happened. He deserved to complete the mission. He got that. I made sure of it. And now you're trying to complete this one, even though it's already over, even though you've lost. I haven't lost until those 3 kids are safe. They're safe with me. They're targets with you, sir. Jesse found your files. Andre witnessed your dock operations. Rachel documented the harassment you ignored. They're evidence. And evidence doesn't stay healthy around people who need it gone. Briggs is quiet for a moment. The fog curls around him, makes him appear like a ghost. Or maybe that's just what admirals become when they cross too many lines. You think I'm the villain here, he says. You think this is simple, good versus evil, heroes and traitors, but you're wrong. Those weapons, they go to allies, people fighting the same enemies we fight, people who can't be seen with American support because politics are complicated and optics matter. What you call smuggling, I call strategic asset placement. What you call corruption, I call doing what needs doing when Congress won't authorize it. So you're a patriot. I'm a realist. Realists don't threaten kids. I didn't threaten them, I warned you. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Briggs sighs, tired, like this conversation is exhausting him. You really won't walk away from this. No, sir. Not even if I guarantee their safety. Transfer them. New duty stations. Clean records. A chance to start over somewhere I'm not. Your guarantees aren't worth the paper they're not written on. Then we have a problem. Yes, sir, we do. Briggs observes past her, toward the crates where 3 shadows are barely visible, then back to Maya. You know I can't let you leave here with them. You know I can't let you take them. Then we're at an impasse. Appears so. Which means this ends one of 2 ways. You surrender, or we take you. There's a third option, Maya says. Briggs waits, interested despite himself. You stand down. Let us extract at 0400. And tomorrow morning you answer to Naval Intelligence about why your signature is on work orders for a smuggling operation that's been running for 18 months. I answer to admirals, not commanders. You answer to the law, sir, same as everyone. The law, Briggs says, is what people with power say it is. And right now I have more power than you. He turns, walks back into the fog, calls out loud enough for his people to hear, take them into custody, non-lethal force authorized, but take them. The formation moves, flashlights cutting through gray, boots on concrete, 12 shapes resolving into men with badges and weapons and orders that override questions. Shaw's voice carries across the dock. Ma'am, they're coming. Hold position, Maya says. Nobody fires unless fired upon. The MPs spread out, textbook approach, 3 teams of 4, 1 center, 2 flanking, closing the box, 30 feet, 20. Close enough now that she can see faces, young faces, nervous faces. Men doing a job they're not sure about but doing it anyway because that's what the uniform means. Commander Reeves, the lead MP, calls out. Weapon holstered, hands visible, last chance, come quietly. Can't do that. Then we're coming in. I know. 10 feet, 5. The lead MP reaches for his restraints. Zip ties, not handcuffs, temporary, easy, just enough to get her compliant and moving. She doesn't move, just remains there, watching, waiting. His hand touches her shoulder. She redirects, not violent, not aggressive, Just a subtle shift of weight that turns his momentum into empty air. He stumbles, catches himself, studies her with surprise. "Don't touch me," she says. "Ma'am, I have orders." "So do I." The second MP moves in, tries to grab her arm, she controls his wrist. Pressure point, he gasps, releases, steps back. The third MP pulls his baton, extends it. The sound cracks through the fog like a starter pistol. Shaw rises, weapon drawn but pointed down, not at anyone, just ready, visible, a statement. The MPs freeze. This just changed from arrest to standoff. Standoff means someone gets hurt, someone gets killed, someone's career ends, and someone's family gets a folded flag. Nobody wants that, but nobody knows how to stop it. From the fog, Dr. Lauren Hayes appears. She's not in uniform, civilian clothes, but she carries herself like an operator, like someone who's seen this movie before and knows how it ends. "Stand down," she says, not to the MPs, to Maya. "Can't do that, ma'am." "You don't have a choice. Briggs has authorization from Theater Command. This is legal, you're not." Theater Command doesn't know what Briggs is running. When they find out, authorization evaporates. If they find out, if the evidence holds, if a court believes a disgraced SEAL over a decorated Admiral, that's a lot of ifs, Commander. I've worked with worse odds. Hayes moves closer, stops 10 feet away, observes the 3 witnesses huddled behind crates, observes Shaw with his weapon, observes Maya standing like a wall between authority and the people she's decided to protect. "What's your endgame here?" Hayes asks. "You hold them off for 2 hours, then what? Extraction comes and you swim out with 3 civilians in tow, through fog, in hostile waters, with pursuit behind you. Then we swim. You'll drown or get shot or both. Maybe, but they'll be safe." "You don't know that." "I know they're not safe here." Hayes is quiet. Her expression does something complicated. Conflict. Decision. The weight of choosing between mission and conscience when mission is what you've built your life around. She reaches into her jacket, the MP's tense, hands moving toward weapons, but she pulls out a phone, not a weapon, just a phone. She makes a call, waits. "Admiral," she says, "we have a situation. The commander isn't backing down, and I'm not sure she's wrong." Silence on her end while she listens. Then, "With respect, sir, if these 3 witnesses disappear, the investigation disappears with them. And if the investigation disappears, everyone involved goes down, including you, including me." More silence, her face tightens. "Yes, sir, I understand. But I also understand that covering this up requires actions I'm not authorized to take, and neither are you." She listens, then hangs up, studies Maya. "You have 1 hour. After that, Briggs calls in favors I can't counter. Use it wisely." "Why are you helping me?" "Because Hale was my instructor too. And because some lines, once you cross them, you don't get to come back. I'm not crossing that one tonight." She turns to the MPs. "Hold position. 1 hour. Then we reassess." The lead MP appears confused. "Ma'am, our orders are to." "Your orders just changed. Hold position." She walks back into the fog, disappears, leaves 12 MPs standing in the cold wondering what just happened and whether they're supposed to arrest anyone anymore. Shaw moves to Maya's side, still armed, still ready. "That bought us time, not sure it bought us enough." "It's what we have. Extraction is still 2 hours out. Then we hold for 2 hours. Against 12 MPs, and an admiral who's willing to do whatever it takes." Maya observes him, really observes. "You can leave, Chief, take your retirement, walk away clean. I won't blame you." Shaw laughs, short, Hard. You think I lasted 30 years by walking away when things got difficult. I'm here till the end, Commander. You just make sure the end is worth it. Movement in the fog, not MPs, different silhouette, smaller, familiar. Ryan Briggs steps into the light. His father's son, Corporal's stripes, knife on his belt, but no weapon drawn, just walking, slow, like he's approaching something dangerous and trying not to spook it. He stops 15 feet away, studies Maya, then at the three witnesses, then back to Maya. My father sent me, he says. To do what? To ask you to reconsider, man to man, operator to operator. I'm not a man, and this isn't a negotiation. He almost smiles. You fight like a man, hit like one too. I've got bruises that agree. Good, remember them next time you want to corner someone smaller. Ryan's expression shifts. Something that might be shame, might be anger, hard to tell in the dark. Look, I know what you think, that we're bullies, that we're thugs, and maybe you're right, but we were following orders. My father said toughen them up. Said the weak ones wash out and the strong ones survive. Said it's always been that way. Your father's wrong. Maybe, but he's still my father. That doesn't make him right, just makes him related. Ryan observes the ground, at the water, at anything but her eyes. What if I told you he's not the villain? What if I told you the weapons go to people fighting the same fight we are? That this isn't about money. It's about doing what Congress won't authorize. Then I'd say your father taught you to lie as well as he does. He's not lying. He's not telling the truth either. There's a lot of space between. Ryan is quiet. The fog moves around him, makes him appear younger than he is, less certain. What happens to him when this is over, when your people come? What happens to my father? He answers for his actions, same as everyone. He'll go to prison. Probably. Because of you. Because of him, Maya says. I didn't sign those work orders. I didn't authorize those shipments. I didn't build a smuggling operation and hide it behind the flag. He did that. I just documented it. And me, what happens to me? Depends on what you do in the next hour. Ryan observes her, really observes, searching for something, permission maybe, or absolution, or just understanding that the world is more complicated than the orders you follow. I could stop this, he says, call off the MPs, tell my father to stand down. Could you? He's my father, he listens to me. Then make him listen. Ryan nods, slow, like he's agreeing to something bigger than words. He turns, walks back into the fog, doesn't turn back. Shaw watches him go, think he'll actually do it. No, but I think he'll try, and trying counts for something. Counts for what? Hoping. The hour passes in silence. No one moves. The MPs hold their perimeter but don't advance. The fog gets thicker. The temperature drops. And somewhere offshore, an extraction team is preparing to pick up one passenger and finding out they're getting 5. At 0330, lights appear in the fog. Not vehicle lights, boat lights. Running lights on a craft that shouldn't be there but is. Cardinal's people, early. A rigid inflatable boat cuts through the water. Silent, fast, military grade. It beaches on the sand 30 feet from the dock. 4 operators disembark. Full kit, night vision, weapons ready but not raised. The team leader approaches, observes Maya, at Shaw, at the 3 witnesses. Commander Reeves, I'm Lieutenant Vega, we're your ride. You're early. Admiral's orders were clear. Get you out, get them out, do it now. And the MPs? Not our problem, you are. Jesse, Rachel, Andre, Maya calls out, time to go. They emerge from behind the crates, scared, relieved, moving toward the boat like it's salvation, and maybe it is. Shaw follows them, covers their movement, keeps his weapon ready in case someone decides early extraction isn't authorized. Maya is last. She observes back at the dock, at the fog, at the shadows of 12 MPs who could stop this but don't because orders are complicated and no one wants to be the one who shoots a SEAL protecting witnesses. She reaches the boat, steps in. The operators push off. Engine roars to life. They're moving, fast, cutting through dark water toward a ship that doesn't officially exist. Behind them, the dock recedes. The fog swallows it. And somewhere in that gray, Admiral Howard Briggs is making calls to people who can't help him anymore because the witnesses are gone, and the evidence is already in Cardinal's hands, and by sunrise this whole operation becomes public in ways that end careers. The boat ride takes 20 minutes. They don't speak. Just hold on and breathe and try to process that they're still alive when an hour ago that wasn't guaranteed. The ship is a destroyer, gray ghost on gray water. They climb aboard, get escorted below deck, into a briefing room that smells like coffee and tension. Cardinal is there, Rear Admiral Patricia Keene, 55 years old, steel gray hair, eyes that have watched operations succeed and fail and learned to keep her face neutral regardless. She observes Maya, at Shaw, at the three witnesses who are trying very hard to disappear into the furniture. "Sit," she says, "not a request." They sit. "Commander Reeves," Keene begins, "you disobeyed direct orders, engaged in unauthorized intelligence operations, assaulted military personnel, and turned what should have been a quiet investigation into a public incident that will be in every newspaper by noon." "Yes, ma'am." Keene's expression doesn't change. "Do you have anything to say in your defense?" "They were going to kill these three witnesses. I prevented that. No apology." "Even though your actions compromised the entire operation." "The operation was already compromised the moment Admiral Briggs figured out I wasn't just a hazing observer. Completing it required protecting the witnesses. I protected them." Keene observes Jesse, Rachel, Andre, young, scared, alive. "You three. Everything Commander Reeves says you witnessed, you're willing to testify to that under oath." Three nods. "Yes, ma'am, absolutely." "Even knowing it puts targets on your backs for the rest of your careers." More nods, slower this time, less certain but still yes. Keene turns back to Maya. "The evidence you obtained, the files they hold up. They're from Briggs' own system. His signature, his authorizations, they'll hold. And Dr. Hayes' testimony. She's already provided a statement, confirms everything." Keene is quiet, thinking, running scenarios, weighing outcomes. Then she rises, walks to the window, studies the dark water. "Admiral Howard Briggs will be arrested at 0600, charged with smuggling, conspiracy, and violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. His son will be dishonorably discharged. The four others in his crew, same. The entire operation, shut down. And you, Commander, will be promoted to full commander and reassigned to a position where your particular skills can be utilized without quite so much collateral damage." Maya blinks, "Promoted." Keene turns, meets her eyes. "The dishonorable discharge on your record, the one from Mosul, is hereby expunged. Officially, it never happened. Your service record is clean. Master Chief Hale's death is reclassified as killed in action with full honors. The cover story served its purpose. That purpose is complete." Maya's throat tightens. She can't speak for a moment. "Then what about his family?" "They'll be notified. Posthumous commendation. The truth about Mosul remains classified, but they'll know he died a hero." Keen continues. You completed the mission, unconventionally, messily, against orders, but you completed it, and you saved 3 lives in the process. That counts. Maya nods, swallows hard. Thank you, ma'am. Shaw clears his throat. And me, ma'am. What happens to an old chief who aimed a weapon at MPs? Keen almost smiles. You get a commendation, early retirement at full pension, and a bottle of whiskey from my personal stock, because anyone who stands with Maya Reeves when the world says run is either very brave or very stupid, and either way deserves a drink. I'll take both, ma'am. The 3 witnesses are escorted out. Protective custody, new identities if they want them, therapy, support, everything they need to rebuild lives that got shattered by men who mistook cruelty for leadership. Maya rises, salutes. Keen returns it. One more thing, Keen says. The next base, the next problem, the next kid's getting hurt. You don't go rogue, you call me first. Understood? Understood, ma'am. Good, because there's always a next base, always a next problem. And people like you, people who can't walk past suffering without stopping, you're rare. Don't waste that by getting yourself killed. I'll try, ma'am. Try harder. The Navy invested a lot in making you. I'd prefer you stay functional. Maya leaves the briefing room, walks through corridors that smell like paint and oil and the particular staleness of recycled air, climbs to the weather deck, positions herself at the railing, watches the sun come up over water that goes on forever. Shaw joins her, hands her a cup of coffee. They don't speak, just stand there. 2 sailors watching dawn break on a day that could have ended very differently. You did good, Shaw finally says. I did what Hale would have done. Hale would be proud. Hale would tell me I took too many risks and got lucky. Shaw grins that too. The sun climbs. The water turns from black to gray to blue, and somewhere behind them, Admiral Howard Briggs is waking up to the worst day of his life. But Jesse Park is safe. Rachel Kim is safe. Andre Cross is safe. 3 people who were targets yesterday are witnesses today and survivors tomorrow. Fire and vanish, Maya thinks. Protect the pack. She pulls out the photograph. Hale, still grinning, still knowing the punchline. Mission complete, Chief, she whispers. We got them home. The wind takes the words, carries them out over water, and somewhere in the deep maybe Daniel Hale hears them. Maybe he doesn't, but the pack is safe, and that's what matters. Shaw drains his coffee. So what's next? Maya observes the horizon, at the endless blue, at the promise of more bases and more problems and more kids who need someone to stand between them and the wolves. Next, she says, we find the next fight. And win it. Or die trying. Shaw nods, sounds about right. They remain there until the sun is full up and the water is bright and the day officially begins. Then they go below, get debriefed, get reassigned, get ready for whatever comes next. Because there's always a next, always another mission, always another choice between orders and conscience. And Maya Reeves has spent her entire life choosing conscience. She's not stopping now. 6 weeks later, Naval Station Coronado holds a change of command ceremony. Admiral Howard Briggs is gone. In his place, someone cleaner, someone who understands that leadership means protecting the weakest link, not breaking it. Jesse Park stands in formation, graduates top of his class, gets assigned to naval intelligence where his skills with computers will serve his country instead of getting him hazed. Rachel Kim transfers to a new unit, files 17 official complaints against personnel who thought harassment was acceptable, wins every single one. Andre Cross becomes a recruiter, tells young men and women thinking about service that the uniform matters less than the person wearing it. That honor is a choice. That strength is what you do for people who can't do for themselves. And Maya Reeves gets new orders, classified, high priority, another base, another problem, another group of kids who need someone to stand up when everyone else turns away. She reads the orders, burns them, packs her gear. Shaw calls her, retired now, living in San Diego, teaching young SEALs that there's more to the job than shooting straight. "You heading out?" he asks. "Tomorrow." "Need backup?" "Always." "I'm too old for this." "You said that last time." "And I meant it last time." "But you'll come anyway." Shaw laughs. "Yeah, I'll come." She hangs up, observes the empty room, everything packed, everything ready. The photograph of Hale sits on the desk. Last thing to pack. She picks it up, studies his face. "Fire and vanish," she says. "Protect the pack. Watch my 6, Chief." She packs the photo, shoulders her bag, walks out into sunlight that promises another day and another fight and another chance to do what's right even when right is hard. The Navy taught her to shoot, to swim, to survive. Daniel Hale taught her why. And that, more than anything, is the mission that never ends. The door closes behind her, the room goes dark, and somewhere out there, someone who needs help doesn't know it yet. But they will. Because Maya Reeves is coming. And when she arrives, the wolves learn what it means to face a ghost who refuses to vanish. The end is just another beginning. And the pack stays safe. Always. Brothers and sisters who served, this one hit different for me. Maya's choice between following orders and doing what's right reminds me why we put on the uniform in the first place. That moment when she crushes her phone and chooses those 3 kids over her career, that's the warrior code our generation understood. Question for you veterans out there. Would you have stayed and fought or followed extraction orders? Drop your honest answer below. No judgment, just curious how different eras handle the impossible call. And if this story got your blood pumping, hit that subscribe button. More incoming.